Hi, my name is Mackenzie. I'm the display artist in Germantown, Tennessee, and today I'm going to be teaching you how to do the Jasmine stitch. So in order to learn this stitch, you're going to need just some regular scrap yarn, it could be any color, as well as a 5mm crochet hook. So to get started with this stitch, you're going to make a standard slip knot. Put that yarn on your hook. Get it nice and tight. So now that we have our slip stitch, we're gonna chain 2, yarn over, chain 1, yarn over, chain 2, and this is where things get interesting. So to make our first puff stitch, what we're gonna do is pull our yarn out, I'd say about this much, and then what I like to do is I like to pinch this with my thumb, and when I yarn over, I wanna make sure that I'm matching that loop height with my yarn over. And then I usually catch this loop with my thumb again, and then you're gonna wanna insert your hook into this first stitch right here. So once that's inserted in your first stitch, you're gonna yarn over and catch that and pull through, and then pull that yarn up to match these other 2 loops. Slide these back. You should have 3 loops on your hook now. Yarn over again, keeping that loop height consistent. Pinch it, and then you're going to go back into that same first stitch. Yarn over and catch it, and pull up again, making sure that you're matching that height. Yarn over, pinch it, and go through one more time. You'll yarn over, catch it, and pull through. So now you've gone through that first chain stitch 3 times, and you should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 loops on your crochet hook. You're going to loop over again, but this time you're going to catch this loop and hold it back with your index finger. I like to say that I'm holding it hostage. So you're holding it hostage, and then you're gonna pull this loop that's closest to your hook through all 7 of these loops down here. And sometimes it helps to go a little bit slow and go through a couple at a time. So, you know, when I was first starting out, just going a couple at a time, making sure that you're not catching any extra loops that don't need to be there. And so, can't forget this little guy that we held back. That's where you're gonna place your hook at the end of pulling through all those loops. So you're gonna insert your hook, yarn over, pull through, and now you'll have 2 loops on your hook, and you're gonna make a single crochet stitch by yarning over, pulling through the first loop, and then pulling through the second loop. And you've made your first puff stitch. So the Jasmine stitch is really just a series of puff stitches that work together to make this really pretty flower looking thing, hence the name. And so in order to make our next puff stitch, we're going to chain 1, and then we're going to start over and make another one. So we're going to pull our yarn to have a longer loop, just like that. Pinch it once you've got it at the height you want, and then match that when you're yarning over. But instead of going into this stitch right here, this chain that we just made, we're going to join this party where all of these other loops were joined from our last stitch where we made that slip stitch. We're going to go in and insert our hook there, yarn over, and pull back up. So I know that might be a little bit hard to see. Again, we're keeping all of our yarn at the same height. We're going to yarn over, and then go back through that same loop, yarn over, pull through, and go up. So that was our second time going through. We're going to do one more. There we go. So now we've got our unfinished puff stitch again. We're going to yarn over, hold this baby hostage, and then pull through. And then again, that loop that we held back, we're just going to insert our hook through there and then take this yarn over from right to left, pull through, you'll have 2 loops, yarn over again, pull through 1, pull through 2. She's looking great. All right, so in order to learn the Jasmine stitch, I like to start off with at least 5 of these little puff stitches. So I'm just gonna blow through those real quick and then catch you back in just a second. All right, so this last one, we've got 5, and we're gonna make what we're gonna call our turning puff stitch. So you're gonna chain 1, just like we have been doing, and then turn our work so that it faces this way. We're going to pull out, insert our hook into this slip stitch, pull up, yarn over, go through, pull up, and then one more time, like that. So now we've got 1 unfinished puff stitch, and we're just gonna go right here into this next one. It's gonna get a little crazy. We're gonna yarn over, and then this is also where it gets really important to make sure that you're keeping the same loop height. So I like to just hold it steady with my thumb and kind of just keep it in place. So the next place we're gonna insert our hook, if you look down this row of stitches, you'll see these larger spaces where we made our slip stitches. That is where we're going to be inserting our hook. So we already did this loop right here. So now we're going to go to the next one. Pull up, and I try to keep it consistent across the board. So this is about the height that I was working with when I was doing the puff stitches in a chain. And so I'm just gonna stick with that height. It's like Goldilocks. It's not too tall, not too short. 2. Maybe that was 3. Yeah. So now we're gonna yarn over again, and we're gonna go into this 3rd stitch. 1, 2, and 3. All right, so you're probably thinking to yourself, oh my gosh, that is a lot of yarn, that's a lot of loops. Don't panic, it's gonna be okay, because you can go 1 puff stitch at a time, because we're just gonna do the same thing where we yarn over and hold this loop back from the rest of them. And I actually find that it's really helpful to almost like choke it a little bit, to where this loop goes under, and you're almost like crossing your yarn. Do y'all see that? So it doesn't really have anywhere to go. So once you hold that back, you're going to pull through. I like to go one puff stitch at a time. And once you've gone through all 3 of those, you're going to do the same thing where you insert your hook into that piece you were holding back, yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through the first, and pull through the second. And she's looking so beautiful. All right, so we're going to do that whole thing over again. We're going to pull all the way up, yarn over, insert our hook, pull up, yarn over, insert our hook, pull up. So when we're starting our Jasmine stitches, we're always going to want to insert into that base slip stitch for our first go round. And for our second go round, we're just going to follow this diagonal line to right here to this second part. So it'll always go 1, 2, 3. So that's our first incomplete puff stitch. We're going to go down here to Mr. number 2, insert our hook, and pull up, again matching that loop height, pinch it, pull up, and that was the third one. So now we've got 2 incomplete puff stitches, and we're going to do 1 more to complete our Jasmine stitch. And then again, hold that loop hostage. You're going to pull through all 3 of these unfinished puff stitches. 1, 2, 3. And then that loop we were holding back, stab our hook through, yarn over, pull through once, yarn over, pull through once, pull through twice. And there you have it. So I'm going to do this 1 more time. And one of the things that I learned for when we go to our cone is the 2 stitches that we've just been doing are called the J3 stitch. So when you look at the pattern for the cone stitch, there's J2, J3, J4. So this is J3 because you've got 1, 2, 3 puff stitches that are being connected. J2 would be 2 puff stitches, and J4 is really something else because you're working with 4, but we're not going to go there yet. We're working with the basics. So we're going to do 1 more Jasmine stitch. Actually, scratch that. We're going to do 2 more. So we're going to chain 1, pull to our yarn height, yarn over, pull through. And again, when you're working with a new stitch, you're going to go right into the base of where you're working. And 3. And then for our second, we follow that diagonal line down to right here into this open space. Insert your hook, yarn over, pull up, match that yarn height, 2, 3. And again, that's 2 unfinished puff stitches. If we were going to do the J2 stitch for our cone, we would do the whole hold it hostage and pull through those 2. But since we're doing a J3, we'll go ahead and do 1 more. And then we're going to insert our hook into this slip stitch right here. 1, 2, 3. All right, so now we've again got 85 kabajillion million loops on here. We're going to yarn over and pull through all of them. And see, that is a problem that happens sometimes where I pulled through and I missed a small section of my yarn right there. So I'm just gonna let it go a little bit and then catch it. No biggie. Go back through. And then another problem that sometimes happens to me is when I'm pulling through, I'll accidentally catch another loop. And so I get through and I'm like, oh my gosh, where did this guy come from? And the way that you can tell which loop is supposed to be on your hook versus which one is supposed to be pulled through is you can just give this a little tug. And you can see when I tug on it, this one is moving, which means that is the one I want to keep, which means I'm going to hook it and pull it through. Ta-da! So then go through here, yarn over, pull through once, yarn over, pull through once, pull through twice, and then a single like chain. Woohoo! Oops, I lost her. There we go. All right, so we have one more Jasmine stitch that we need to do, and then we're gonna insert our hook here first, here for the second, and then for the third, this always is a little bit tricky for me, but you can see where when we were first doing our stitch, where all of these loops gather right there, that is going to be where we place our hook, right there. So it's kind of hiding. It's not as obvious as the others, but you guys are so smart. I know you'll find it. 1, 2, 3. We're going to do that again, but down here. 1, 2, 3. And then again, finding that stitch, yarning over, and pulling to match that yarn height. That's 2, and this is 3. All right, so one final time, we're going to catch this loop, pull through, pull through, pull through, and then go back down here, yarn over, pull through once, yarn over, pull through once, pull through twice. And there you have it. You could do another row, as many as you want in order to practice. I made a little pot holder as a little treat for learning the stitch. This is gonna live in my kitchen. So anyways, I would encourage you to make a little something that you can use as a medal, badge of honor for learning this stitch. And I'll see you guys tomorrow when we go over the cone stitch. Great job, you guys.